Have you ever stopped to think about the silent dangers lurking in the foods we eat every day? For most of us, fruits are synonymous with health, nature's gift to keep our bodies thriving. But what if I told you that some of the very fruits you've been eating could be silently poisoning your body? This isn't a scare tactic. It's a reality I came face to face with just last year, and it nearly cost me my life. It all started innocently enough. I was at the market one morning when I spotted a basket of star fruit, its vibrant yellow skin gleaming under the sunlight. It looked so refreshing, so harmless, that I couldn't resist buying a few pieces. Later that day, I sliced one up and enjoyed half of it as an afternoon snack. Within hours, I began feeling strange, disoriented, nauseous, and overwhelmed by an inexplicable fatigue. By the next morning, I could barely stand without trembling. My family rushed me to the hospital where doctors ran tests and delivered news that left me shaken. The star fruit had triggered acute kidney failure. You see, for someone like me, a 74-year-old man with mild kidney issues, eating even half a star fruit can unleash toxins that my weakened kidneys simply cannot filter out. These toxins build up in the bloodstream, attacking the nervous system and causing symptoms ranging from confusion to seizures, coma, or worse. And here's the terrifying part. Many people have no idea this is happening until it's too late. Some end up on dialysis for the rest of their lives, while others aren't as fortunate. They succumb to the damage before they even realize something is wrong. I wasn't alone in this nightmare. During my recovery, I met countless others who had suffered similar fates. There was Margaret, a 68-year-old woman who loved starting her mornings with lychees. She didn't know that consuming them on an empty stomach could send her blood sugar plummeting, leaving her dizzy and disoriented. Then there was Harold, a retired teacher who tried fresh ackee during a trip abroad. He thought he was exploring local culture, but instead, he ended up fighting for his life after the fruit's toxins caused severe hypoglycemia. Each story was more harrowing than the last, yet they all shared one common thread: ignorance. None of us knew how dangerous these seemingly innocent fruits could be. The truth is, the risks don't stop at kidney failure or blood sugar crashes. For older adults whose bodies are already working overtime to process medications, regulate blood pressure, and maintain balance, certain fruits can become ticking time bombs. Take grapefruit, for example. Who would suspect that a simple glass of grapefruit juice could interfere with liver enzymes, rendering prescription drugs ineffective or worse, dangerously potent? Or consider durian, the so-called king of fruits. Its high sulfur content and natural sugars can wreak havoc on anyone with hypertension or diabetes, leading to spikes in blood pressure or uncontrollable blood sugar levels. What makes these dangers even more alarming is how subtle they can be. Symptoms often creep in slowly, masked by other age-related ailments, fatigue, dizziness, muscle weakness. These are things many older adults dismiss as normal parts of aging, but behind those seemingly benign complaints lies a potential catastrophe waiting to unfold. By the time the true cause is identified, irreversible damage may already have occurred. This brings me back to my own brush with death. Lying in that hospital bed, hooked up to machines monitoring every breath and heartbeat, I realized how fragile life truly is. One small decision to eat half a starface had brought me to the brink of disaster. The doctors warned me that if I hadn't sought help when I did, the outcome could have been fatal. Even now, months later, I still feel the lingering effects of that incident. My kidneys will never fully recover, and I must live with the knowledge that my choices, not just that day, but over years of unknowingly consuming risky foods, have permanently altered my health. But my story doesn't have to be yours. The purpose of sharing this isn't to instill fear, but to empower you with knowledge. Imagine being able to protect yourself and your loved ones from unnecessary suffering simply by knowing which fruits to approach with caution. Think about the peace of mind that comes from understanding how your body interacts with the food you consume. That's why I urge you to keep reading and learning, because every bite you take matters, especially as you grow older. The hidden danger in a glass of grapefruit juice, a patient's harrowing tale. It all began innocently enough, a simple decision to start the day with something refreshing and healthy. Henry, a 72-year-old retiree with a history of high blood pressure and mild kidney issues, had always prided himself on his disciplined lifestyle. He exercised regularly, avoided processed foods, and consumed what he believed were nutrient-rich meals. But one fateful morning, as sunlight streamed through his kitchen window, Henry reached for a glass of freshly squeezed grapefruit juice, a seemingly harmless choice that would soon spiral into a life-threatening ordeal. At first, nothing seemed amiss. The tart tang of the juice awakened his senses, and he felt invigorated as he prepared to tackle the day ahead. What Henry didn't know, however, was that this small act set off a chain reaction within his body. Unbeknownst to him, the grapefruit juice contained compounds called furanocoumarins, which interfere with liver and intestinal enzymes responsible for metabolizing medications. For years, Henry had been taking prescribed medication to manage his blood pressure and cholesterol levels, drugs that required precise dosing to remain effective without becoming toxic. In just a matter of hours, the innocent-looking juice transformed these medications into ticking time bombs inside his system. By mid-afternoon, Henry began to feel an unusual tightness in his chest. At first, he dismissed it as indigestion or fatigue from the day's activities, but as the hours passed, the discomfort grew worse. By evening, he was doubled over in pain, clutching his abdomen and struggling to breathe. His wife rushed him to the emergency room, where doctors worked frantically to stabilize him. After a battery of tests, they delivered news that left both Henry and his family reeling. Internal bleeding caused by dangerously elevated levels of his blood pressure medication. The culprit, that single glass of grapefruit juice. What makes this story so chilling is how invisible the danger truly was. Grapefruit's effects don't announce themselves with immediate symptoms. Instead, they creep in slowly, often masked by other age-related ailments like fatigue or muscle weakness. For Henry, the damage had likely been accumulating for months, perhaps even years, before reaching a critical tipping point. Doctors explained that the grapefruit juice had repeatedly interfered with his liver's ability to process his medication, causing toxic concentrations to build up in his bloodstream. Over time, this led to severe gastrointestinal distress, ulcers, and ultimately, the catastrophic internal bleeding that brought him to the hospital. Henry's case serves as a stark reminder of how perilous seemingly healthy choices can be when we lack awareness of their hidden risks. Imagine waking up every day believing you're nurturing your body, only to discover later that you've been poisoning it bit by bit. This isn't science fiction, it's a reality faced by countless older adults who unknowingly consume foods that interact negatively with their medications. Grapefruit, once hailed as a superfood, has now been implicated in numerous cases of adverse drug reactions, ranging from dizziness and heart arrhythmias to kidney problems and life-threatening bleeds. The most alarming aspect of grapefruit's impact lies in its unpredictability. Even seasoned healthcare professionals may overlook its potential dangers unless specifically informed about a patient's dietary habits. Consider the example of Margaret, another older adult mentioned earlier in our discussion. Like Henry, she too believed she was making wise food choices by incorporating exotic fruits into her diet. However, while Margaret narrowly escaped serious complications after consuming lychee on an empty stomach, Henry wasn't so fortunate. His experience underscores the importance of understanding not just what we eat, but how those foods interact with our unique physiology. But the lessons here extend beyond individual cautionary tales. They highlight a broader issue: the silent, insidious nature of certain health risks. Unlike acute conditions that present obvious symptoms, problems stemming from dietary interactions often develop gradually, remaining undetected until irreversible damage occurs. Take cranberries, for instance, a fruit celebrated for its protective properties against urinary tract infections and kidney stones. While beneficial under normal circumstances, even cranberries could pose challenges if consumed excessively or combined with contraindicated medications. Similarly, watermelon, revered for its hydrating qualities, might exacerbate existing health issues if eaten in large quantities by individuals with advanced chronic kidney disease, CKD. These examples illustrate why vigilance is paramount, not just for specific foods, but across all aspects of nutrition and wellness. For Henry, recovery was neither quick nor easy. Weeks of hospitalization followed by months of rehabilitation tested his resilience and forced him to confront uncomfortable truths about his own vulnerability. Yet, amidst the hardship, emerged a newfound determination to educate others. Through support groups and online forums, he shared his harrowing experience, urging fellow seniors to scrutinize their diets and consult healthcare providers before introducing new foods or supplements into their routines. "Don't let ignorance be the thing that takes your life," he often said during these discussions. "A little knowledge goes a long way." In conclusion, Henry's story serves as both a warning and a call to action. It reminds us that no food exists in isolation. Each bite carries implications far beyond its taste or appearance. Whether it's grapefruit disrupting vital enzyme pathways, starfruit triggering neurotoxicity in vulnerable populations, or durian spiking blood sugar levels unexpectedly, the stakes are incredibly high. Every meal presents an opportunity to nourish or harm, and while embracing natural remedies and wholesome foods is commendable, doing so without proper understanding can lead to devastating consequences. So pause before you sip that next glass of juice or slice into a tempting fruit. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. The deadly duo, durian and alcohol, a recipe for disaster. It was supposed to be a relaxing evening, a chance to unwind after a long week. Robert, a 68-year-old retiree with a penchant for exotic foods, had just returned from his favorite market clutching a ripe durian. Known as the king of fruits, its creamy texture and intoxicating aroma were irresistible to him. Little did he know that this indulgence would nearly cost him his life. As fate would have it, Robert decided to pair the durian with a glass of wine, believing the combination would enhance the experience. What followed was nothing short of a nightmare. Within minutes of finishing his meal, Robert began to feel an unusual warmth spreading through his body. His face flushed red, beads of sweat formed on his forehead, and his heart started racing uncontrollably. At first, he dismissed it as a fleeting reaction, perhaps due to the heat or fatigue. But as the minutes ticked by, the symptoms worsened. His chest tightened, and he felt dizzy, struggling to catch his breath. Panic set in as he realized something was terribly wrong. By the time his wife called an ambulance, Robert was slumped over the dining table, barely conscious. At the hospital, doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize him while running tests to uncover the cause of his sudden collapse. The diagnosis came swiftly but carried devastating implications. Robert had suffered a mild stroke triggered by dangerously elevated blood pressure, caused by the lethal combination of durian and alcohol. What makes this story so harrowing is how quickly things spiraled out of control. For older adults like Robert, whose bodies are already more vulnerable to fluctuations in blood pressure and sugar levels, consuming durian alongside alcohol can be catastrophic. The fruit's high sulfur content interferes with the liver's ability to metabolize alcohol efficiently. Instead of breaking down safely, the alcohol builds up in the bloodstream, amplifying its effects. This interaction not only spikes blood pressure, but also places immense strain on the cardiovascular system. In Robert's case, the surge in blood pressure led to a clot forming in one of the vessels supplying oxygen to his brain, a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate. But the dangers of durian don't stop at its interaction with alcohol. Even without the added risk of drinking, durian poses significant health risks for older adults. Its natural sugars, which give the fruit its sweet flavor, can wreak havoc on blood glucose levels. Within just 30 minutes of eating, blood sugar levels can skyrocket, especially in individuals with diabetes or insulin resistance. Imagine sitting down to enjoy what seems like a harmless dessert, only to find yourself battling dizziness, confusion, and fatigue shortly afterward. For someone like Margaret, another character we've encountered earlier, who unknowingly consumed lychees on an empty stomach, the parallels are striking. Both scenarios highlight how seemingly innocent food choices can lead to dire consequences. The most alarming aspect of durian's impact lies in its unpredictability. Unlike other fruits, durian's heavy fat content and dense caloric load make it particularly challenging for older adults to digest. Many report feeling bloated, nauseous, or even experiencing palpitations after indulging in large portions. These symptoms aren't merely uncomfortable, they're warning signs of underlying issues. Take Henry, for example, whose grapefruit habit disrupted his medication regimen. While Henry's condition developed gradually over months, Robert's near-fatal episode unfolded within hours. It's a stark reminder that some risks strike silently and swiftly, leaving little room for intervention. For Robert, recovery was anything but easy. Days turned into weeks as he underwent rehabilitation to regain strength and mobility. Doctors warned him about the fragility of his condition, emphasizing that another such incident could prove fatal. During this time, Robert reflected deeply on his choices, realizing how easily ignorance had placed him in harm's way. He vowed never to underestimate the power of seemingly innocuous foods again. Through support groups and online forums, he shared his harrowing experience, urging others to exercise caution when incorporating certain fruits into their diets. This brings us back to the broader narrative. Whether it's cranberries protecting against infections, watermelon cleansing toxins, or lemons preventing kidney stones, each fruit carries unique benefits, but also potential pitfalls if not consumed wisely. Durian serves as a sobering example of how even celebrated superfoods can pose serious risks under specific circumstances. Its reputation as the king of fruits masks the danger lurking beneath its spiky exterior. For older adults whose kidneys and livers may already be compromised, the stakes are incredibly high. Every bite of durian becomes a gamble, one that could tip the balance between health and catastrophe. In conclusion, Robert's story is both a cautionary tale and a call to action. It underscores the importance of understanding how different foods interact with our bodies, medications, and overall health. Whether you're enjoying a bowl of star fruit or savoring a slice of durian, knowledge is your greatest ally. By staying informed and making mindful choices, you can protect yourself and your loved ones from unnecessary suffering. So before you reach for that next exotic treat, pause and consider the hidden risks. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. The silent assassin, how starfruit nearly claimed a life. It was an ordinary afternoon when George, a 74-year-old retiree with mild kidney issues, decided to try something new. At the local market, he spotted a basket of starfruit. Its vibrant yellow skin and star-shaped slices caught his eye. How bad could it be, he thought, unaware that this seemingly harmless fruit would nearly send him spiraling into a coma. That evening, after enjoying just 2 or 3 small slices as part of a fruit salad, George began feeling strange. Within hours, disorientation set in. Simple tasks like remembering where he placed his keys became impossible. By morning, tremors shook his hands uncontrollably, and he struggled to maintain balance while walking. What started as curiosity quickly turned into a medical emergency. The culprit, neurotoxins lurking within the innocent-looking starfruit. In individuals with healthy kidneys, these toxins are efficiently filtered out of the bloodstream. But for older adults like George, whose kidney function had already declined due to age and pre-existing conditions, the toxins accumulated rapidly, wreaking havoc on his nervous system. Over the next few days, George's symptoms worsened. Mental confusion deepened, muscle spasms intensified, and he experienced bouts of dizziness so severe that standing up felt like navigating a stormy sea. His family rushed him to the hospital, fearing the worst. Doctors confirmed their suspicions: neurotoxicity caused by starfruit consumption. Had they waited any longer, George might have slipped into a deep coma, or worse. What makes starfruit particularly insidious is its ability to attack silently and stealthily. Unlike immediate allergic reactions, which announce themselves with hives or swelling, neurotoxins in starfruit build up gradually over time. For someone like George, who consumed only a minimal amount, the effects didn't appear all at once, but instead unfolded in waves. Each passing hour brought new challenges. Fatigue gave way to confusion. Confusion escalated to tremors, and tremors morphed into full-blown neurological distress. It wasn't until days later during a follow-up visit that doctors fully understood the extent of the damage. Even after ceasing starfruit consumption, traces of the toxin lingered in his bloodstream, continuing to erode his nervous system. This slow-burning crisis mirrors other dangers we've explored earlier. Take Henry, for instance, whose daily glass of grapefruit juice disrupted his medication regimen. While Henry's condition developed subtly over months, George's near-fatal encounter with starfruit unfolded in mere hours. Both stories underscore how seemingly innocuous choices, a refreshing drink here, a decorative fruit there, can spiral into life-threatening situations. Similarly, Robert's experience with durian highlights another peril: Foods celebrated for their exotic appeal can harbor hidden risks. Just as durian's high sulfur content wreaked havoc on Robert's blood pressure and glucose levels, starfruit's neurotoxins quietly dismantled George's nervous system without warning. But what truly sets starfruit apart is in its unpredictability. Even people without diagnosed kidney problems aren't entirely safe. As we age, our kidneys naturally lose efficiency, making us more vulnerable to toxins. For George, the decision to eat starfruit wasn't reckless. It was uninformed. He didn't know that each bite carried the potential to poison his body. And once ingested, the neurotoxins acted swiftly, targeting critical areas of his brain and spinal cord. Symptoms such as mental fog, involuntary muscle contractions, and loss of coordination emerged suddenly, leaving little room for intervention. Imagine sitting down to inhale what seems like a harmless dessert, only to find yourself battling seizures or paralysis shortly afterward. This isn't science fiction, it's a reality faced by countless older adults who unknowingly consume starfruit. The broader implications of George's story are chilling. Many people include starfruit in their diets without realizing the risks, especially since it's often marketed as a tropical delicacy. Its sweet flavor and unique appearance make it appealing, masking the danger beneath. Yet, for those with compromised kidney function, or even those simply growing older, the stakes are incredibly high. Every slice of star fruit becomes a gamble, one that could tip the balance between health and catastrophe. Consider Margaret, another character we've encountered, who unknowingly consumed lychees on an empty stomach. Her sudden drop in blood sugar parallels George's neurotoxic reaction. Both scenarios illustrate how easily ignorance can lead to disaster. For George, recovery was neither quick nor guaranteed. After weeks of treatment, including intravenous fluids to flush out remaining toxins, his symptoms finally began to subside. However, the emotional toll lingered. "I never imagined a piece of fruit could do this," he confessed during a support group meeting. "It makes you question everything you put in your mouth." His words resonated deeply with others in the room, many of whom had faced similar health scares. Together, they shared tips on safer alternatives, emphasizing the importance of staying informed about dietary risks. Through online forums and community outreach, George vowed to spread awareness, urging others to think twice before indulging in potentially dangerous foods. In conclusion, George's harrowing ordeal serves as both a cautionary tale and a call to action. It reminds us that not all fruits are created equal, and some carry hidden dangers that demand vigilance. Whether it's cranberries protecting against infections, watermelon hydrating our bodies, or lemons dissolving kidney stones, every food choice matters. But alongside these benefits comes responsibility. Understanding how different foods interact with our bodies, medications, and overall health. So before you reach for that next exotic treat, be it star fruit, durian, or anything else, pause and consider the consequences. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. The hidden danger in cherimoya, a brush with permanent paralysis. It was supposed to be a simple dessert, a creamy slice of cherimoya or custard apple enjoyed on a quiet evening. For Margaret, a 70-year-old woman who prided herself on exploring exotic fruits, this tropical delicacy seemed like the perfect treat. What she didn't realize, however, was that the seemingly harmless seeds nestled within the fruit's soft pulp harbored a sinister secret. Within hours of eating the cherry moya, Margaret began to feel an unsettling numbness in her fingers and toes. By morning, she woke up unable to move her right arm entirely. Panic set in as she realized something was terribly wrong. The culprit? Crushed cherimoya seeds. When ingested, these seeds release natural toxins called annonaceous acetogenins, which can wreak havoc on the nervous system. Unlike other fruits where seeds are easily avoided, cherry moya seeds are mixed into its buttery flesh, making it easy to accidentally crush them while chewing. Once crushed, the toxins they contain can enter the bloodstream in as little as 15 minutes, attacking nerve cells and causing symptoms ranging from mild drowsiness to severe motor dysfunction. Margaret had unknowingly consumed pulverized seeds along with the fruit's sweet pulp, triggering a cascade of neurological issues that left her temporarily paralyzed. What makes cherimoya so dangerous is how insidious its effects can be. At first, the symptoms may seem minor: fatigue, tingling sensations, or even a metallic taste in the mouth. But over time, repeated exposure to the toxins can lead to irreversible damage. For older adults like Margaret, whose bodies already struggled to eliminate harmful substances efficiently, the risks are amplified. Doctors warned her that prolonged exposure could have resulted in permanent paralysis or conditions resembling Parkinson's disease. It was a chilling reminder of how quickly a single bite of fruit could alter the course of someone's life forever. Margaret's story echoes the silent dangers we've explored earlier. Take George, for instance, who nearly slipped into a coma after consuming starfruit. Both cases highlight, Owen, how seemingly innocent foods can harbor hidden toxins with devastating consequences. Similarly, Robert's experience with durian serves as another cautionary tale. Both fruits share the ability to disrupt bodily functions without immediate warning signs. While Robert's blood pressure spiked dangerously due to durian's high sulfur content, Margaret's nervous system suffered direct assault from cherimoya's neurotoxins. Each scenario underscores the importance of understanding what we eat and how our bodies interact with it. But perhaps what sets cherimoya apart is its deceptive allure. With its rich tropical flavor and velvety texture, few would suspect it of posing any threat. Yet beneath its inviting exterior lies a potent risk, especially for those unprepared for its potential dangers. Consider Henry, whose daily glass of grapefruit juice disrupted his medication regimen. His condition developed subtly over months, whereas Margaret's reaction struck suddenly and severely. This unpredictability makes cherimoya particularly perilous. Even individuals without pre-existing health conditions aren't immune. Toxins from crushed seeds can affect anyone, regardless of age or medical history. For Margaret, recovery was neither swift nor guaranteed. After days of hospitalization and rigorous testing, doctors finally identified the source of her paralysis: cherimoya seed toxins. She underwent treatment to flush the toxins from her system, but the road to full recovery was long and arduous. Physical therapy sessions became a daily routine, and regaining control of her limbs felt like climbing an endless mountain. "I never imagined a piece of fruit could do this," she confessed during one of her rehabilitation sessions. Her words resonated deeply with others in the room, many of whom had faced similar health scares. Together, they vowed to spread awareness about the hidden dangers lurking in everyday foods. By sharing her harrowing experience, Margaret hoped to prevent others from suffering the same fate. Through online forums and community support groups, she urged fellow seniors to exercise caution when trying new foods. "Don't let curiosity override caution," she often said. "A momentary indulgence isn't worth risking your mobility, or worse." Her advocacy extended beyond cherimoya. She encouraged people to research all foods thoroughly, especially those touted as healthy or exotic. From cranberries protecting against urinary tract infections to watermelon cleansing toxins, every food choice carries implications far beyond its taste or appearance. In conclusion, Margaret's ordeal serves as both a warning and a wake-up call. It reminds us that not all fruits are created equal, and some carry risks that demand vigilance. Whether it's avoiding crushed cherimoya seeds, steering clear of unripe papaya, or moderating lychee consumption, small choices can make a monumental difference. Knowledge is power, and understanding the potential dangers hidden in our diets empowers us to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So before you take that next bite of fruit, pause and consider the unseen risks. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. The latex connection, how unripe papaya triggered a life-threatening allergic reaction. It was supposed to be just another healthy snack. A smoothie made from unripe papaya blended with a touch of honey and lime. For Eleanor, a 76-year-old woman who prided herself on her disciplined diet, this choice seemed both nutritious and refreshing. What she didn't anticipate was that within minutes of taking her first sip, her throat began to tighten, her chest felt constricted, and panic set in as she struggled to breathe. Her family rushed her to the hospital where doctors diagnosed her with anaphylaxis, a severe allergic reaction triggered by latex compounds found in unripe papaya. It turned out Eleanor had a previously undiagnosed latex allergy, which cross-reacted with the fruit. I never imagined something as innocent as a green papaya could nearly kill me, she later recalled, still shaken by the experience. What makes this scenario so terrifying is how rapidly such reactions can escalate. Unlike other food sensitivities that may develop over hours or days, latex allergies can cause symptoms within mere minutes. Swelling, difficulty breathing, and even throat closure. For older adults like Eleanor, whose immune systems are already more fragile, these reactions can become life-threatening without immediate intervention. Doctors explain that the high levels of latex in unripe papaya act as a double-edged sword. While they contribute to its digestive benefits when ripe, in its unripe state, they pose significant risks for those sensitive to latex or with delicate stomach linings. Repeated exposure could lead to chronic irritation, increasing the likelihood of gastrointestinal bleeding, a consequence no one should risk. This incident echoes the dangers we've explored earlier, particularly Margaret's harrowing encounter with lychee and Robert's near-fatal experience with durian. Each case underscores how seemingly harmless foods can harbor hidden threats, especially for older adults. While Margaret's blood sugar plummeted dangerously after eating lychee on an empty stomach, and Robert's body rebelled against durian's sulfur content, Eleanor's reaction highlights yet another peril: the insidious nature of cross-reactive allergens. These stories remind us that ignorance isn't bliss. It's a gamble with potentially devastating stakes. For Eleanor, recovery wasn't just physical but emotional as well. She spent days recovering from the shock of the incident, grappling with guilt over her lack of awareness. "I thought I was doing everything right," she confessed during a support group meeting. "But now I realize how important it is to know your body and what you're putting into it." Through online forums and community outreach, she vowed to educate others about the risks of unripe papaya, urging people to heed warnings about latex allergies and dietary choices. In conclusion, Eleanor's story serves as a chilling reminder of how quickly health can deteriorate due to overlooked details. Whether it's avoiding crushed cherimoya seeds, steering clear of starfruit neurotoxins, or moderating cranberry intake for kidney health, small precautions can save lives. Knowledge empowers us to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So before you blend that next green papaya smoothie, pause and consider the unseen risks. Your stomach and your life depend on it. The poison within, a family's near-death experience with unripe. Aki, it was meant to be a celebration, a family gathering filled with laughter, stories, and traditional dishes passed down through generations. Among the spread was a dish featuring fresh aki, carefully prepared by Harold's wife as a nostalgic nod to her childhood in Jamaica. What none of them realized was that this seemingly innocent fruit would soon turn their joyous evening into a fight for survival. Within hours of eating the meal, the entire family began experiencing symptoms they couldn't explain: dizziness, profuse sweating, and overwhelming fatigue. By midnight, things escalated dramatically. Harold, now pale and trembling uncontrollably, collapsed onto the floor. His teenage grandson started convulsing violently, while others complained of confusion and weakness made so severe they could barely stand. Panic set in as they scrambled to call an ambulance. At the hospital, doctors delivered devastating news. The family had suffered acute hypoglycemia caused by consuming unripe aki. The culprit, hypoglycin, a natural toxin found in high concentrations in unripe aki. When consumed, this compound blocks the body's ability to produce glucose, leading to dangerously low blood sugar levels. For older adults like Harold, whose bodies already struggle to regulate glucose efficiently, the effects were catastrophic. Within just 1–2 hours of ingestion, the toxin triggered a cascade of life-threatening reactions, including seizures and loss of consciousness. Doctors warned that without immediate medical intervention, the outcome could have been fatal, not only for Harold but for his entire family. This harrowing incident mirrors the dangers explored earlier in our story, particularly Margaret's sudden drop in blood sugar after eating lychee on an empty stomach. Both cases highlight how fragile glucose regulation can be, especially for vulnerable populations like older adults. Similarly, George's encounter with starfruit neurotoxins serves as another chilling reminder of how quickly seemingly harmless foods can become deadly. While George's nervous system bore the brunt of his toxic exposure, Harold's family faced a direct assault on their metabolic processes, leaving little time for detection or response. For Harold's family, recovery was both physically and emotionally grueling. After days of intensive care, their symptoms began to subside, but the trauma lingered. "We almost lost everything over a single dish," Harold reflected during a follow-up visit. Determined to prevent similar tragedies, he vowed to educate others about the risks of ackee and other potentially dangerous fruits. Through community workshops and online forums, he urged people to ensure proper preparation before consuming such foods, emphasizing the importance of ripeness and moderation. In conclusion, Harold's story underscores the critical need for vigilance when incorporating exotic fruits into your diet. Whether it's avoiding crushed cherry moya seeds, steering clear of starfruit toxins, or moderating cranberry intake for kidney health, small precautions can save lives. Knowledge empowers us to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So, before you serve that next unfamiliar fruit, pause and consider the unseen risks. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. The hidden peril of lychee, a terrifying lesson in blood sugar crashes. It was a sweltering summer afternoon and the air was thick with humidity. Margaret, now 72 years old, remembered vividly how her love for tropical fruits had once led to an alarming health scare, one she would never forget. That day, eager to beat the heat, she decided to start her morning with a bowl of fresh lychees. What seemed like a refreshing and healthy choice quickly turned into a harrowing ordeal. Within just 30 minutes of eating the fruit on an empty stomach, Margaret began feeling lightheaded and weak. Her hands trembled as she tried to steady herself against the kitchen counter. By the time her family noticed something was wrong, she could barely speak, let alone stand. The culprit? Hypoglycin, a naturally occurring toxin found in lychees that can wreak havoc on blood sugar levels, especially when consumed without proper food intake. For older adults like Margaret, whose bodies already struggled to regulate glucose efficiently, this reaction was catastrophic. Doctors later explained that hypoglycin interferes with the body's ability to produce glucose, causing sudden and dangerous drops in blood sugar. Without immediate treatment, such crashes can lead to loss of consciousness, seizures, and even permanent brain damage, a chilling reminder of the fragility of human physiology. Margaret's experience wasn't isolated. It mirrored countless cases reported worldwide, particularly among children who consumed large quantities of lychees on empty stomachs during harvest seasons. In some regions, outbreaks of severe hypoglycemia have resulted in hospitalizations and tragically deaths. These incidents underscored how seemingly harmless foods could become silent killers if consumed carelessly. The symptoms often escalate rapidly. Fatigue gives way to confusion, followed by dizziness and fainting. For vulnerable populations, including older adults and young children, the risks are exponentially higher. This scenario echoed other dangers explored earlier in our story. Take George's neurological distress after consuming star fruit, or Harold's near-fatal encounter with unripe ackee. Both cases highlighted how natural toxins in everyday foods could silently accumulate, leading to devastating outcomes. Similarly, Eleanor's latex allergy triggered by unripe papaya served as another stark reminder of how specific compounds in fruits could interact unpredictably with the body. Each incident reinforced the importance of understanding what we eat and its potential impact on our health. For Margaret, recovery was both physical and emotional. After days of medical intervention to stabilize her blood sugar levels, she slowly regained strength, but remained haunted by the memory of helplessness she felt that morning. "I thought I was doing everything right," she confessed during a support group meeting. "But now I realize how critical it is to listen to your body and know which foods pose hidden risks." Determined to prevent others from suffering similar fates, Margaret became an advocate for dietary awareness. Through online forums and community workshops, she urged people to consume lychees responsibly, emphasizing the importance of pairing them with balanced meals rather than eating them alone on an empty stomach. In conclusion, Margaret's story serves as a sobering reminder of the delicate balance required to maintain health, especially as we age. Whether it's avoiding crushed cherry moya seeds, steering clear of unripe ackee, or moderating cranberry intake for kidney health, small precautions can save lives. Knowledge empowers us to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So before you indulge in that next bowl of lychees or any exotic fruit, pause and consider the unseen risks. Your brain and your life depend on it. The silent poison in every bite, a life-altering revelation. It's easy to believe that fruits are nature's gift, pure, wholesome, and always beneficial. But what if I told you that every bite of fruit you take could be silently poisoning your body? This isn't a hypothetical scenario. It's the harsh reality that James, a 75-year-old retiree, came face to face with after narrowly escaping death. His journey from ignorance to awareness serves as a chilling reminder of how seemingly healthy choices can turn into hidden dangers when we fail to understand their risks. James had always prided himself on his disciplined lifestyle. He exercised regularly, avoided processed foods, and consumed what he believed were nutrient-rich meals. Fruits were a staple in his diet. Everything from starfruit to cherry moya, durian to lychee. To him, they represented vitality, health, and longevity. But one fateful evening, this illusion shattered. After enjoying a dessert made from unripe papaya and crushed cherimoya seeds, James began feeling strange. Within hours, his throat tightened, his chest felt constricted, and panic set in as he struggled to breathe. By the time his family rushed him to the hospital, he was barely conscious. Doctors diagnosed him with anaphylaxis caused by latex compounds in the unripe papaya, compounded by neurotoxins from the cherimoya seeds. It was a near-death experience that left him shaken to his core. This incident wasn't isolated. It was the culmination of years of unknowingly consuming dangerous fruits. Reflecting on his past, James realized how close he had come to disaster multiple times. There was the time he ate half a star fruit during a summer afternoon, unaware that its neurotoxins could wreak havoc on his already compromised kidneys. Days later, he experienced disorientation and muscle spasms, but dismissed them as fatigue. Then there was the morning he started his day with grapefruit juice, not realizing it was interfering with his blood pressure medication. Over months, he noticed dizziness and weakness creeping in, yet he never connected the dots. Each episode was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. The turning point came when James stumbled upon a documentary about the hidden dangers of certain fruits. As he watched, familiar names flashed across the screen: starfruit, durian, ackee, lychee, all culprits in his own dietary missteps. The realization hit him like a freight train. The very foods he thought were nourishing his body had been slowly harming it. Determined to reclaim his health, James embarked on a mission to overhaul his eating habits entirely. He began researching each fruit meticulously, consulting nutritionists, and speaking with doctors about potential interactions. Slowly but surely, he replaced risky options with safer alternatives. Watermelon became his go-to for hydration. Cranberries helped safeguard against urinary tract infections, and lemons aided in detoxifying his kidneys. Even simple changes like swapping grapefruit for oranges and avoiding exotic delicacies altogether made a monumental difference. What makes James' story so compelling is its universality. His experiences echo those of countless others who have faced similar crises. Take Margaret, for instance, whose love for lychees led to severe hypoglycemia when eaten on an empty stomach. Or Harold, whose entire family suffered acute poisoning after consuming unripe ackee. These stories highlight a sobering truth. Ignorance isn't bliss. It's a gamble with potentially devastating stakes. For older adults whose bodies are already more vulnerable to fluctuations in blood sugar, kidney function, and metabolism, the consequences can be catastrophic. But the lessons extend beyond individual cautionary tales. They underscore a broader issue: the silent, insidious nature of certain health risks. Unlike acute conditions that present obvious symptoms, problems stemming from dietary interactions often develop gradually, remaining undetected until irreversible damage occurs. Consider Robert, who nearly lost his life to a combination of durian and alcohol. His sudden spike in blood pressure and glucose levels seemed inexplicable at first, only revealing themselves as the deadly aftermath of poor dietary choices. Similarly, George's neurological distress after consuming starfruit illustrates how toxins can accumulate stealthily, manifesting in waves rather than immediate reactions. In both cases, the true danger lay in delayed recognition, a luxury no one can afford when dealing with fragile systems like the kidneys or nervous system. For James, recovery wasn't just physical, it was deeply transformative. Beyond adopting a safer diet, he developed a profound appreciation for knowledge and vigilance. Through online forums and community workshops, he shared his harrowing experiences, urging others to scrutinize their diets and consult healthcare providers before introducing new foods. Don't let ignorance transform something healthy into a hidden killer, he often said during these discussions. His advocacy resonated deeply with audiences, many of whom had faced similar scares or knew loved ones who had. In conclusion, James's story serves as both a warning and a wake-up call. It reminds us that no food exists in isolation. Each bite carries implications far beyond its taste or appearance. Whether it's grapefruit disrupting vital enzyme pathways, starfruit triggering neurotoxicity in vulnerable populations, or durian spiking blood sugar unpredictably, the stakes are incredibly high. Every meal presents an opportunity to nourish or harm. And while embracing natural remedies and wholesome foods is commendable, doing so without proper understanding can lead to devastating consequences. So pause before you sip that next glass of juice or slice into a tempting fruit. Your kidneys and your life depend on it. Don't let lack of awareness blind you to the silent poisons lurking in plain sight.